If you've never heard of OO9 trains before, I wouldn't blame you. It's the 00 gauge equivalent of HON 30. To put it another way, it's 00, or 1/76th, scale trains on N gauge, 9mm track, acting as a representation of narrow gauge trains. Here I have a pair of OO9 engines, Bachmann's Talyllyn, I probably butchered that, and Kato/Peco's Small England. I would display them in a more scenic setting, but hang on. There we go. Not much on this T-track module to betray that these engines are technically the wrong scale. We're not just here to gawk at pretty little engines, though, even if they are pretty little engines. We're here for a little bit of experimentation. I'm toying with an idea. I won't spill too much yet, as it might not even happen. But I do need to know some things before I really go too far. First and foremost, I need to know if these engines will take a Kato compact turnout. Here is our test rig, a few pieces of Kato Unitracks slapped together on the workbench. If the engines can make it through this, I will have no problems with what I have in mind. Of all the things I do have on hand, though, a proper Kato power pack is not one of them. Therefore, I'm going to MacGyver this a little. This is a rechargeable 9-volt battery I use in my Digitrax throttles. Because both of these engines run on 12-volt DC track power, touching this to the rails will give me the equivalent of about 75% throttle, so long as I don't somehow short the battery. Long story short, if the engines will race through the turnouts at 75% throttle, I'm good. First up on stage is the Small England Prince. Good performance. Bad rock and roll concert. Prince seems to run through the compact turnouts like a knife through butter. Now, how about the tank engine? Made it out, won't come back. Ah, the lead wheel derailed. Let's try that again. Note to self, it's the other polarity of the battery for reverse. Rear 2 wheels this time. As the old saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Rear 2 wheels again. There's a fine line between try again and definition of insanity. I think a few more tries to find a common thread may be acceptable, though. What about when the engine is facing the other way? Off to a roaring start. Just to test, I pushed Talyllyn through the turnout by hand. It's difficult to tell, but the middle wheel lifts significantly going through the curve, while the rear wheel also wants to climb. Here's Prince facing the same direction. That one is my fault. Let's take a look at the undersides of the engines to see where the problem lies. Here's the underside of Prince, a pretty standard four-wheel chassis. When compared to Talyllyn, however, we find our problem pretty quickly. Essentially, Talyllyn is too long and too rigid. See how the rear wheels have no lateral play, the middle wheels have some lateral motion, and the lead wheel has almost none. This will allow the model to traverse curves to a point, but that point is well exceeded by the Kato compact radius. Effectively, this makes Talyllyn's wheelbase the total length of the engine's frame, from lead wheel to rear as one rigid unit. Prince, having only two axles, is much more flexible with a much shorter wheelbase. It's been said that the Bachmann Talyllyn is just a modification of their Thomas & Friends Skarloey model, and that makes sense given what I'm seeing. Bachmann probably anticipated the model being run on their own N-gauge easy track system, which is nowhere near as tight as Kato's compact track. The fact that I'm dealing with turnouts doesn't help, but the problem is there on reversing compact curve sections too. Naturally, Prince has no trouble on this track configuration either. Looks like Prince found something interesting down there. To close things out, I got a standard 00 gauge engine out to pose with the two Welsh engines for scale perspective. I don't really have a big aha for this video. This exercise was mostly a fact-finding mission for myself. I do know that the Bachmann Talyllyn will derail on Kato compact radius curves and turnouts 2 out of 3 times, give or take, and that Prince will go right through them. However, the Talyllyn almost makes it, so any easier turnouts should be manageable. This is the information I needed to consider another project. Hopefully there is something interesting in here for you, or you at least got a chuckle out of my trying to pilot model locomotives around with a 9-volt battery. Regardless, stay safe out there, and enjoy the world's greatest hobby.